Let's do this.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Welcome to CoviDevotion with Beez. I am your host. I'm going to start that again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to CoviDevotion with Beez. I am your host, Beez. And let me just start by saying I was here this morning at about 7 o'clock preparing everything. The reason why is because finally, after so long in lockdown, we got cleaners to professionally clean our house because, yeah. But then after that, they kind of just not destroyed, but they kind of I had to rearrange everything. And so I set up I've got a new setup now. I've brought the screen from downstairs and I'm using that. So I've kind of got I'm really happy with my setup now, but it's taken a while. And so this morning I came up early just wanting to test everything. And then as soon as I went live, everything turned to garbage because I pressed the go live button, and then I didn't know if I pressed it properly, and then it went live, and then I put my intro late, and then anyone on Instagram, I just press a button, it's all fine. But anyone on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch who are live right now, it was the worst. So apologies for that. Straight off the bat, I want to say thank you and welcome to month 4, week 4, day 5 a.m. And so basically, we've wrapped up the 4th month of lockdown. I guess we've kind of wrapped it up. But today, when it comes to Friday, I like to kind of wrap up the week. And since I can't do 2 COVIDs, not that I can't, but I'm no longer doing 2 COVID devotions anymore. In the day, I'm just doing 1. I thought that I would use this one as my, what's the call? Having the attitude of gratitude and doing my, focusing the COVID devotion itself on having an attitude of gratitude and what am I actually thankful for today, or this week. And so I'm going to today's topic is what money can't buy. And I'm just going to give you a couple of things, some news. So yesterday, throughout COVID, I was going through reflection and really, pardon me, reflecting on what is important to me and what do I need to make sure that when lockdown finishes, what I should prioritize and focus on and really spend time on. And family really hit home for me. It's like, how much time do I spend with my family? How much time do I actually catch up with my family and stuff like that? And so for me, giving the chance of freedom, giving the chance to kind of do that, I was like, yes, I'm going to make a conscious effort to keep in touch with my family and be intentional about the amount of time I spend with my family, my parents in particular, And so yesterday, so I messaged my dad during COVID and I said, hey Dad, I want to do this thing where I just want to take you out, have a bit of a bro day, just spend the day, we'll go and we were FaceTiming each other during COVID for a bit. And we both saw that we were getting a bit out of control when it came to hair, the beard, everything. Right. So I said, hey, how about this? Instead of, we'll save it up. And so when we get into lockdown, let me take you out. We'll spend a day of not pampering, but we'll get our hair done. We'll get the beards done, shaped up, and then we'll take a couple of photos to kind of capture that moment and stuff like that. And so we did that yesterday. And so I picked him up. We went to Tommy Guns. Shout out to Tommy Guns. I don't know if you ever watched this, but you all did a great job. It was great service. And hopefully you'll sponsor me. No, you won't. But at the end of the day, we came back to the house. We got some outfits and stuff like that. And if you want to check it out, look it up on my Instagram or my Facebook page. But yeah, it was a great time. And I got to spend time just catching up with my dad and stuff like that. And for me, when I posted it, I created a bit of a montage on TikTok and then I posted it. It was really cool to see different friends, different family going, oh, this is awesome. It's so cool that you did this with your dad and stuff like that. And for me, it was yeah, it's awesome. I was so grateful that I could spend that time, chilling with my dad, hanging out with my dad and stuff like that. But then I had a couple of friends or guys that I knew, they messaged me back and they were like, hey man, it's so awesome that you have that with your dad. I don't have that with your dad. You're really lucky and stuff like that. And that made me think, and that made me like, that's where like the attitude of gratitude, the heart of gratitude kicked in. Um, like the thing that I realized that like other guys out there don't have the opportunity. It's not that they won't; it's just that they can't, due to circumstances, due to them, their fathers not being in the picture, or like And for me, when I reflected on that, I had so much more of a heart of gratitude for what I do have. Just this relationship with my dad and stuff like that. And so today, I wanted to talk about this thing that like Karen's told me about, but this is what her father told her, and I'm just going to bring it up. And it says, the only thing that you can take with you is your character. The only thing that you can take with you to heaven, the only thing that you can take with you to heaven is your character. And the Bible passage that I'm going to bring up, and we're going to read it now, it's Matthew chapter 19 Matthew chapter 6 verse 19 and 20. And the mic's in the way, so I'm just going to read it here. And it says this, Matthew chapter 6 verse 19 and 20, and it's treasures in heaven. And it says, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. And I was thinking about that, and I was reflecting upon, where I am at with my life and stuff like that. And one of the key things that I'm really grateful for are the characteristics or the things in my character that I can attribute to my friends, that I can attribute to my mom, my dad, my sister, my family, like my core unit. If the only thing that I can take with me to heaven is my character, then I'm really grateful for some of the key characteristics about me that I've gotten from, my mom, my dad, and my sister, that I can say, yeah, I'm glad that I have that. And I'm glad that I have, I'm part of a family who has taught me things. And so this is a shout out to my fam. And so these are the characteristics that I think that I really appreciate about it. But not only that, it's one of those things that I'm going to repeat. And it says, the only thing that you can take with you to heaven is your character. So as an attitude of gratitude, as a devotion to say thank you. These are the kind of things that I think, wow, this is awesome. So from my dad, right? Growing up, my dad, key things that I feel that I got from him was what I appreciated about him, which I felt I needed in my life, was a good work ethic. Working hard and earning the money that you get, not having this kind of heart or this sense of entitlement, but actually working for the dollar and just appreciating what you have and being grateful for what you have. Also, for me, growing up, he wasn't the oldest in the family. He was actually a sibling of 10. Like he was in a family of like 8 other brothers and sisters. But in Australia, when we migrated, he became a go-to person, a person where his brothers and sisters and family members would go and speak to him for advice, for guidance. And I really saw leadership qualities coming from my dad that I really appreciated and I thought were really important and were really great. And I also, there's a story that I remember to this day. We lived back in Rudy Hill, and this is Rudy Hill, like, no. Sorry, Hassel Grove. We lived in Hassel Grove, late 80s. And I remember the house that we had, we didn't have a fence. Like we had the back fence and the side fence, but the front fence, we didn't have that. We had straight into a carport, straight into our backyard. And so anyone who wanted to could just come into the back way of the house. The majority of my friends would never knock on the front door. They'd always come around the house, right? And that was okay. But what I found was really interesting was stray dogs and cats would do the same. And I remember one time, my dad hated it. He pretended like he hated dogs and cats, strays and whatever. He'd always, from a distance, get out, right? Like all this thing. And then one time, I woke up in the morning and we're getting ready for school. And I opened up the laundry, and to get into the house, you have to go all the way around to the house to get to the laundry. On the backside, there's that little alleyway, right? Like normal houses. And I saw that there was a stray dog, and he'd walked into the house all the way around and sat next to the hot water system. And I told my dad. I didn't want to tell my dad, but then I told my dad, and he's like, he opened the door and he was like, and then he saw the dog, and I thought he was gonna go like this, but he went to the fridge and he started getting ham out of the thing and fed the dog. And I thought, oh man, come on now, you're just a big softy, bro. And so for me, like, like there were small elements that my father was just a generous person, right? At his core, even though maybe he didn't want the facade to be that he was like this, but generosity was another thing that I kind of got. From my mother, I saw like the things that I learned, and the characteristics of my mother that I appreciated was kindness, hospitality, gentleness, right? She was just caring, and she was a person that really celebrated culture and family. And though she was an only child, right? People at the house, if anyone came to the house, you would know that there was food. You would know that people would, people were always welcome. That, like, you're not going hungry when you're coming to the house. And I really got that. I really saw that from my mom. Like, there was dinners, there was food, and there was this really hospitable attitude and hospitable nature to my mom. And I really, for me, I really appreciated that, and I thought that was really awesome. And that's something that I feel very important to me, because Karen's the same. Like, Karen's one, like, where when it comes to family and stuff and friends, and hosting and stuff, she's host extraordinaire kind of thing. And I think that's something that I was like, yeah, that was really important to me, and I'm really grateful that I had that. It was to the point that I'll tell you the story, and I know I'm just looking at the time, but there was this one time that I had to break bad news to my mom. No, it wasn't bad news at the time, but I knew it was news to my mom that was going to break her heart, that was pretty much going to destroy her. And I remember I remember having a conversation with my dad first, and he's like, well, you got to tell her, be honest, and just we'll deal with it afterwards, where the chips lie, that kind of thing. And I remember that I had to pull her to the side, sat her on the couch, and she was cooking dinner. And I shared with her this news. I remember it as it was yesterday. I'm looking across to her, and I tell her, what the news was. And she's there, and she's got tears coming out of her eyes, tears streaming down her face, and she's still cutting up broccoli, right? And she was still making a meal, and she still prepared that meal. And afterwards, we still had dinner, and she still kind of prepared that meal for us. And for me, that I really like, that supersedes. That's hospitality that supersedes understanding. You know what I mean? Like, in the midst of me giving my mom devastating news, right, she's still willing to prepare a meal for me. And for me, I really appreciate that. And that's something that I've kept, and I hope to have as well. And then finally, you got my sister, right? And I think a lot of you guys know Annie. And for me, she was my older sister. So at times, though I was young, it's like I had three parents, right? Because my parents had to work, right? And so after school, like, apart from my grandparents, my sister would take care of me. My sister would, would look after me and stuff like that. And finally, what I learned from her was an essence of integrity. And what I mean by that, it's following through with what you promise to do. And from that stemmed commitment. From that stemmed this attitude of, if you're going to do something, do it with everything you have. I know my sister, like, when it comes to dancing, when it comes to, just when it comes to music, when it comes to dancing, when it comes to people, it's 0 or 100, and with my sister, it's 100. Once she's invested, it's fully invested. And so for me, and it's this follow through. It's this thing of commitment and ongoing determination. And that's something that I was like, I learned that from her. I needed that for me, especially in ministry and stuff like that. And it's like perseverance, determination. I remember back in the day, and this is when like Safety Sam wasn't even a thing. Like, my sister was in a family group, like a girl group, a girl band, like it's called Elite Power Force, back in the 90s. And we lived out west, and the rehearsals were usually down at Belfield, Belmore, where my cousins were, right? And my sister, she's 13, 14 years old, right? She'd catch a train by herself to go to these rehearsals. She would go and catch a train, travel, and I'm talking after school, nighttime styles, going there, then staying at my grandparents' house, and then traveling back, because she had this commitment and she had this determination. And like for me, I remember, like, that's something that I remember, that nothing, if as soon as she set her mind to something, nothing would stop her to do that. And I really appreciated that about her. There was no cutting corners with her. It's more about like it's 0 100, and usually when it's 100, it's amazing. And so for me, it's like what I learned, and some of the things that I feel that I would want to absorb in regards to my character were those traits. And so reminding myself with an attitude of gratitude that the only thing that I can take with me to heaven will be my character. I just hope that those are the things that I'll learn. Those are the things that I'll develop within myself. And like, with God saying, don't worry about the things of earth. Don't worry about the money, the cars, the whatever. Focus on the character and focus. So my word of encouragement to you or to us is, surround ourselves with people who will help us develop a character worthy of heaven. And because the things of the world, yeah, it can get stolen and get rotten. It can fade away, but the things of heaven are permanent. So let us strive to have. Let us be encouraged to surround ourselves with people who will help us develop our character worthy of heaven, who help us develop a character of Jesus Christ, who help us reveal Jesus Christ to us, so we can learn about him, we can grow in him because of them. And so my attitude of gratitude, my how do I say this, the thing that money can't buy, definitely, when I was spending time with my dad yesterday, was the fact that those things, those characteristics and qualities of my family that they've given me throughout my life, you can't buy that. You can't put a price tag on that. And so for me, I have an attitude of gratitude because of that. So that's what I wanted to share this morning. I'm going to close in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you so much for this today. And thank you for reminding us that, thank you for reminding me of what's important and what I need to focus on in regards to prioritizing when it comes to my time, my talents, and my efforts, and where I'm directing that to. And I pray that you consistently and continuously remind us that this time on earth is a way of developing and building our character for heaven. May the power of the Holy Spirit not only come into our lives and transform us from the inside out, but through your Spirit, provide us with people in our lives where we can draw from, that we can learn from, and who can help us, teach us, guide us, so we can develop our own character that is reflective of you and who you are. Lord, I just pray that you be with us as we go into this weekend. Keep us safe until we meet again. I ask this all in your loving name. Amen. Thank you once again for joining me on Instagram Live, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch Live. I will see you next Monday for COVID Devotion month 5. I don't know, like we're no longer in lockdown, I guess, so I think I might change up the label of what the COVID devotions are, but I'm going to keep COVID Devotion. Hope to see you back on Monday, but until then, stay safe, stay blessed, have a great weekend. Peace out, much love, laters.